Hello, this is Matthew, CEO of privacysystems.org, and today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about our version 1.5 update for our WSL Nextcloud Install Script. In case you haven't heard of our script, I'll give you a little explainer on what it does. It lets you install Nextcloud, which is a personal cloud software, under the Windows subsystem for Linux on any Windows 11 and some Windows 10 devices. This makes it so you don't have to build or rent a dedicated server just to run Nextcloud if you want to get a private cloud. And it comes with the additional benefit that you don't have to pay for two separate subscription services to back up both your desktop and your server. Historically, there were other ways to install a Nextcloud server on Windows involving the use of virtual machines, but these virtual machines didn't use WSL and therefore they weren't as resource efficient. And additionally, the company that made these virtual machine images distributed them with a pre-configured drive space where you'd actually have to pay them more if you wanted a bigger disk image. Our script only limits you to the size of the disks in your computer, and it actually is cheaper than the lowest tier paid version of their Nextcloud image. On top of performance, cost, and lack of drive size limits, our script is also unobfuscated. This means once you buy it, you can open it up yourself and see what it does if you know PowerShell. And you might be thinking, well, if I know PowerShell, why would I bother buying your script? And well, it's because our script solves many problems for you. On top of using things like the Redis memcache for optimal performance and compatibility, it just fixes a ton of unexpected issues that one will encounter if they try to make Nextcloud work under WSL manually. Our previous video on version 1.0 and our product page at privacysystems.org go into detail on these aspects a little bit more. But for now, let's get into what we've actually updated with version 1.5. The most important thing we've updated is just the overall compatibility with new versions of WSL and Windows. Unfortunately, to solve one of these issues, we had to move from using a MariaDB database to using a SQLite database. And some of you might be concerned that this affects the speed or overall compatibility with your Nextcloud instance, and let me assure you, it doesn't. We tested it for quite a while before releasing this update, and for single user instances like the ones that you'll be using with this script, it's generally as fast or even faster than MariaDB. And we weren't even able to find any incompatibilities with apps. Additionally, the switch to SQLite gives us the ability to store the database alongside your data files. This makes it really easy to back up your entire instance instead of having to go into your actual WSL distro and enter some commands to back up that database. For existing customers with a MariaDB install, this makes it a little bit more difficult to migrate to a version installed with this version 1.5 script, but it's highly recommended to do so. And speaking of migration, updating, and backups, we've now included important information on how to do all this in the instructions.txt that comes with the script. Now let's get into further version 1.5 updates by actually running the script and installing a Nextcloud instance. So the first thing here is the script runs a check to see if your CPU supports hardware virtualization. Now this check isn't always 100% accurate, so we've added a way to bypass this check, which is useful for some CPUs that do support hardware virtualization, but say they don't. There's also a new check here to make sure you're connected to the internet before you start running the script because you need those internet assets. And there's another check to make sure your account is an admin because trying to run this on a standard user account just won't work. Next, the script will either install or update WSL, and it will check your computer for the Windows subsystem for Linux Windows Store app, and it will remove that if it's there. And the reason it does this is to prevent permissions issues that occur when this app is installed if you're trying to run something at boot. And we are trying to run something at boot. We're trying to run your Nextcloud instance when your computer boots. After the checks pass, we get to where we choose our distro, and you'll notice a couple things different here. The first first is that we've dropped support for some older versions of Ubuntu, and we've also removed the ability to try installing this on unsupported distros because, let's face it, it's probably not going to work. To make up for these removals, we've added support for Ubuntu 22.04 LTS, and we've also addressed some important bugs during this section as well as the rest of the script that could have possibly caused your install to fail. And we've added user input validation anywhere we could so that hopefully if you mistype something, it'll catch it and you won't have to restart all the way from step one. I fast forwarded a bit here through the installation of the distro and the updating process, and I'll fast forward through other segments as well because this isn't a tutorial video. This is a video covering our update. But if you want to watch a tutorial video, you can watch our original video, which goes through all the steps, including port forwarding your router so that your Nextcloud instance is accessible through the internet. So now that our distro is installed, it's time to download Nextcloud, and now we've added this option here that lets you choose if you want to try downloading the latest version of Nextcloud right at the beginning. Now, this isn't always guaranteed to work with the rest of the script because the script was only made for a specific version. So if the script fails with the latest version of Nextcloud, you can try going back and just saying no to that prompt, in which case it will use the latest version of Nextcloud that was out when the version of the script came out. And if for whatever reason there's an update that makes it so you have to do it this way, don't fret because you can always update it to the latest version once it's installed using the built-in web updater. So the next thing I want to talk about here that's new is that what you just saw there was the extraction process. If you used version 1 of our script, that process would have taken 10 plus minutes. And in this new version, we were able to reduce it to a couple of seconds through optimization. Now we just get a few more standard prompts to continue setting up Nextcloud. But if you look closely at them, you might notice they're worded a little bit differently now to make things a little bit more clear to you, the end user, on what's going on. Next up is the coolest addition to the script since its launch, and that's that it will install these custom scripts that run in the background. The first one is a battery script. This detects if your computer is running on battery, like a laptop, and if so, it will automatically shut down Nextcloud while you're on battery to save you battery life. That script isn't optional, but the next one is, and that is the game mode script. What this does is it will automatically close your Nextcloud instance if it detects that you're gaming. WSL doesn't use as many resources compared to other virtual machine software, but it still uses some. So if you want this script, you can install it and you won't use any resources for your Nextcloud instance while you're gaming, but obviously you won't be able to access your Nextcloud while you're gaming. Like the main script, both of these scripts are non-obfuscated and you can enable them or disable them within the task scheduler. Speaking of enabling and disabling, the start and stop Nextcloud desktop icons are now enable and disable Nextcloud icons, and instead of being put on your desktop, they're put into your start menu so you can always find them, even if you don't want them taking up desktop space. So just like that, using the script, we got a new Nextcloud install on this PC. If you care a lot about privacy like we do, we also recommend you install stuff like O&O Shutup and Windows Spy Blocker to make Windows more private. But other than those optional steps, we are good to go. I hope you all enjoy this update. Like all updates, current customers get it for free. Make sure to spread the word so we can further the goal of bringing privacy to the masses. To get the script, just visit our website at privacysystems.org. Link in the description below.